countries, including some from Africa.
Are you a staff?
All right. Good morning. Okay, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Well, I can't share my video because I think you stopped.
Oh, okay. Let me. Oh, great.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I'm so happy to have you on the call today. Ofe, it's really great to have you.
It's good to be
Um,
here.
I know that it's like taking a lot from you because I know that you're a lot busy during the week and the weekend too has a lot of plans. And then here you are ready to share with us your journey, your very interesting journey, and to also share some insights about how to take the next step, to be bold enough to go for what you desire in career and all of that. And I'm really pumped and excited to have you on this
That's
call.
my pleasure.
I would just take a few minutes to welcome everyone. Welcome everyone that is watching today. This is NextGen Africa. On this channel, we talk about everything career, business, and life. With the hope of making you a better person towards your goals, towards your plans, and towards your future. We know that a better you is a better Africa, and that is our desire. So, if you've been on this channel, I'm sure you've had wonderful moment where we've brought in top speakers, keynote speakers on this call to talk about interesting topics, very diverse topics sometimes, and it's been wonderful so far. So this is the August edition of this meeting, and I have with me Opeyemi Oludara on the call, and she's going to share with us on how to career transition in the strategic towards having a successful career transition. Either you're having a career change or you're having a career transition, you're going to pick one, two, or three things that will really be helpful for you on this call. So yes, over to you, Okwe. Please introduce yourself to us, and then we will start the call.
Oh,
The meeting.
thank you, Joy. Thanks for having me. I'm very glad to be here, and it's a pleasure to be delivering this presentation. I've followed Africa Next Page for some time now, and I didn't know I was going to be one of the speakers soon. But it's nice to be here, and I just want to say I'm currently a data scientist. I work in the energy industry, so I work for Weatherford, and what we do is to gather data from the subsurface, analyze it, build algorithms out of it, and try to produce answer products, about the characteristics of the subsurface for our clients. But my journey towards becoming a data scientist, it's quite a story because I trained as a petroleum engineer, both at an undergraduate and a master's level. But at the time I finished my master's, I did it in Aberdeen in Scotland. I came back to Nigeria. Like many people, I applied for jobs, and unfortunately, at that time was when the oil crisis, was in the country and in the world at large, and it was very difficult to get a job. But fortunately for me, before I went for my master's, I was working in a control systems engineering company as an intern. And so my mom said, "Oh, why don't you reach out to them to find out if they have a slot?" And so I did. And they gave me an offer as a control systems engineer. So that was like my first transition into something that is completely different from petroleum engineering. And so I worked as a control systems engineer for about 3 years, and I began to feel this unsettlement in my spirit that, oh, I don't think I want to do this on the long run. This doesn't really align with my values. And these are some of the things that we're going to be discussing today. And so I retrained as a data scientist in the energy industry, and here I am. So yeah, that's just in a nutshell. I just try to cramp it really quickly.
Your story is one. I think one could go to your page. I think you did a video about it sometimes back.
Yeah, a
um
testimony, yeah.
journey and all of that. And it's just, I think anybody who wants to can look you up on socials and check it out. I believe that you mentioned some things about, you just kept feeling like this is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to do long term. You had a clear picture of what you wanted to really spend your time doing. And the truth is that some people don't have it all like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's also almost like we are evolving sometimes, because I've seen a lot of people who, as at last year, were so sure they wanted to do data analysis, and now they've spent hours, they've spent money, and they're in data analysis. And the next thing is that, oh, I think I want to go to Web3 coding and all of that. You see a lot of people having so many passions and aspirations, and I would give you the floor to speak about that, how knowing exactly where you want to be, and how soon is too quick, about this career moving up and down, changing. How long do you need to really invest in growing a successful career?
Yeah.
And then when do you know it's time to make that decision, to change, to get into the next phase and break open the next door, even if there's a glass, shatter it and just move, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually prepared like a slide, a presentation. I don't know if that's what you were expecting, but I prepared.
If you want to share a slide, it's all good. If you don't
Yeah.
want, if you want to speak, it's all good as well. Just
Okay.
uh,
So I'll
would like
probably need
people
to
to
share
see
my
your
screen.
face. Yeah, it's okay.
Uh, Maybe you may need to enable my screen sharing
Okay.
in settings.
How about now?
Yes. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I believe it's showing as a slideshow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so 1 second. So yeah, like I said, I prepared a slide and I think it'd be easier for me to just discuss because some of the questions that you've asked me are actually going to be covered in this presentation. And I'm going to just give a brief, obviously I've spoken a bit about myself, and I'm going to discuss some of the reasons why we need to have this conversation, the difference between a strategy and a plan, as well as my 3-step strategic process. These are the steps that every strategic change should go through, and I would conclude. So about me, we've kind of gone through this already. I'm not going to go through this again. And I have a quick poll here. You don't have to answer on the comment, but it's just for you to internalize it and to start to think about it. How many people are currently considering a career field change? And I imagine that that would be a lot, because obviously it's becoming a norm now rather than an exception. So why are we discussing this? We're discussing this because, we're at a stage in the world where a lot of the kind of occupations that were considered back in the days where we had trainings in medicine, in law, in engineering, it used to be a case of you would follow that throughout your life, throughout your career. And I think the screen just went off. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Don't worry, just carry on.
Oh, okay, because it went off from my side.
Okay.
Okay, so it used to be a case of some of the career choices that we make back then would be what would carry on throughout our entire journey. But now, people, with evolution and the fact that the world is very dynamic and a lot of things have happened, people are being enlightened. People are being enlightened, and they are, becoming more aware that career change is something that they can look into. You don't have to, carry on through what you were doing in school and things like that. So it's very important for us to have this sort of discussion on career change. And you can see some of these jobs are actually becoming very obsolete now. I saw this very interesting picture online of this man carrying a signboard saying, oh, I'm looking for a job, or my skills are Word, Excel. And these sort of skills are now the norm, the standard that every professional should have. So yeah, that's some of the reasons why we have to discuss this. And these are just some statistics. Obviously, I live in the UK, but it's very much applicable to every part of the world, whether it's Nigeria, US. This is just a survey that shows the number of people, the volume of people that are actually considering career changes day in, day out. And you see that the CIPD, which is the Chartered Institute for Personnel and Development, they show that in 2023 alone, 2 million people changed careers. And this sort of grew at an exponential stage during COVID, because COVID kind of enlightened people to see that, oh, the world is an oyster. I can actually do whatever it is that I want. Some people were actually stuck in jobs that they didn't really like, or it wasn't part of their aspiration to, do that kind of career, but just because they needed to make money and, fend for their families or stuff, something like that. And they just felt like, oh, I have to remain in this job. But taking a step back during COVID kind of forced people to internalize, to self-reflect, and to become self-aware of their values and their passions. And so you see a lot of people now changing careers and considering a career change. And this is just a statistics to show the age ranges of people who are, in that career phase change. So you see that about 78% of people aged 25 to 24 are actually, very active in career changes. And this is just the age group. Not to say that you cannot change career at any stage of your life, but it's just to narrow down, to see that people in these age brackets are very much, seeking, a career change. And so obviously, I'm pretty sure that most of us are in these age brackets. So yeah, this is the right time to consider if that is something that you're looking to do. So the next slide. Okay. So the next slide, I just want to answer some of the questions, like why do people change career? Because it's very important to sort of, look inwards and really answer these questions. You don't just want to be that person that, just jump in and changing career because every other person is doing so. So some of the reasons, because maybe you're someone that you feel like you're not being compensated enough in your current role, or you don't have a lot of work-life balance, you feel really stressed about work, and you're always exhausted at the end of each day. You don't have job satisfaction. The job you're doing does not really align with your values. Is it me or the screen keeps the
Yeah,
space?
I don't worry. It's just so that we can see your face because we've seen the screen. So that it's going to happen like that intermittently. I'll put back the slides, then we'll continue the conversation with your face. But you can watch your screen as much as you like. We just will prefer to see your face more
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
screen.
Okay. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so yeah, so essentially, we see that people change career for various reasons, which could be as a matter of maybe you're just very bored with your work. Some people's work is just so boring and you just feel like, why do I have to do this? I need a new challenge, I need a new adventure. It could also be because you feel like your industry is declining. Some people seem to think that the oil industry in a couple of years right now would not really be a thing. Whether that's
Yeah.
true, that's not what I'm here to answer. But it could be that you just want some
I,
sort of,
I don't want to cut in, but I
yeah,
wanted to ask, I like the fact that you mentioned that you can change career at any time, but
yeah,
we all know that it's very prevalent at a particular age,
yeah.
because sometimes you're already at a peak in your career and it's just not worth it for you to start all over again. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that you cannot start your own thing if
Yeah,
it's
of
what
course.
you. But I want to correct. I don't know if it's a notion or it's true. Where people attribute a kind of success to constant career change. I don't know if it's a new trend or something, but I would like you to, talk about it. Do you think it's true? Do you think it's actually synonymous to success? You were this, then you are this, and then we look at your profile, there are like 7 different areas that you've touched on in 5 years, and
Yeah.
right now maybe you were in social impact, you did a lot of programs, and now you are in business development, and you know where do we balance that as well, just to bring a line of thoughts.
Yeah, so if we try to define what a career is actually a journey, from a starting point to a finish line. Your career should tell a story of who you are, what you've done, and some of your accomplishments. So if you're someone that is jumping from career to career, and we see that, oh, maybe today you're a doctor, tomorrow you're a data analyst, and for me personally, I just feel that that's just a very messy story. And that's not to say that you cannot change career about maybe 2 to 3 times in your lifetime. But even within that career change, it can still be tailored. It can still follow that path, that storyline. So it's not really synonymous to success. I find people who have been in the same career from start to end, and they're even successful, because the thing about career changes, and I'm going to touch on that in my subsequent slides. There should always be a reason for it. It's not just something that you just do because everyone is doing it. So if you feel like, oh, career change is all about just having a belt of multiple skills that would present me as someone who is successful, that really isn't. It means that you haven't even done a lot of self-assessment, and you're just changing career based on essentially just moving with the wind, which is not what we really want, which is not what we really want to advocate in career change. So no, to answer your question, no, I don't think it's synonymous. No, excessive career change is synonymous. There are times that it's very essential, like, and which is what we're discussing now, for career change. So yeah. Is there any other question, or should I?
Oh, no, please go on, carry
Yes.
on.
Yes. So yeah, these are some of just the reasons. And you could just also want to change career because you feel like the potential, your skills are not just being utilized, and you feel like you can offer more potential. And when should you not change careers? Because we've discussed why we should, and it's very important to also discuss when you should not. If it's solely for financial gains, if you feel like, oh, I just want to change career because I feel like this career would give me, and you haven't really done a lot of research to understand the need for you to change your career, and I don't advise you to. When you're in doubt, when because maybe you see your friend has changed career and you're just like, oh, maybe I should, and you're not really sure if you would actually enjoy what the next step. I think you should take more time to look inwards, peer pressure when you've not done inadequate research, and there's a lot more. You can add yours as well. So now let's get into the meat of why we are here. And first of all, I want to just discuss what a strategy is, because it's very different from a plan. And I know that these two words are used interchangeably. When we talk about strategy, we talk about a broad overview of something. We talk about an approach to achieve a specific long-term goal. So strategy is always used in the context of long-term, while plan is used in context of a very short-term kind of thing. So this is very important, because when people are talking about career change, they come up with a plan immediately. Oh, this is what I'm going to do in this year 1, year 2, I'll do this, and do this. But I bet to say that is a very wrong approach, because you get yourself really cluttered in the fine details of things, and you don't give yourself ample opportunity or room to actually do the research. You see things from a broader perspective, from like a bird's eye view. So a strategy is like a bird's eye view. It gives you this kind of vision of your environment that a plan wouldn't normally give. So for example, someone is lost in the woods and the person cannot find his way around. What do they deploy? They deploy a helicopter to look for the person, because the helicopter has a kind of broad view of the environment. And that's what a strategy aims to deliver. It's long-term, it's very flexible. And when you are more plan focused, you get cluttered in the detail. A plan is very concrete, it's just streamlined. It doesn't give room to be flexible. And we all know that the world is a very dynamic place. Let's say something is happening this year, next year, all of a sudden things just change. You want that flexibility to be able to adapt your strategy to the environment. And that's why it's very important to think in terms of strategy. It helps you to be efficient. You can allocate the time and resources that you actually need to a strategy. And so this is just an example of a strategy versus a plan. Assuming you want to transition to a nursing career within the next 3 to 5 years, in a strategic approach could look like this, self-assessment, understanding some of your transferable skills or why you want to even make that transition. You're gonna also talk about education, and networking, research. So you cover all this ground prior to even making detailed plans about how you're going to execute it. You're already thinking about current trends in the industry, the kind of experience, that how you're going to build your experience to show that, oh, you are someone worth investing in. You're already planning financially for the change, and as well as personal development. And this is what a strategic approach is giving you that opportunity to assess and test the environment. But a plan-focused person would, just say, okay, in year 1, I would research and apply. Year 2, I would start voluntary work. It's very, very concrete. It doesn't give, can you see how this is not really a flexible? Say, for example, you do all this in year 1, and in year 2, you now realize that, oh, wow, I'm not able to start this nursing program because of so I don't have money. It throws you off balance, and you're not able to essentially follow through. So it's always good, even not just even for career change, for anything in life, it's always good to think in terms of strategy, because strategy is a long-term, it covers long-term, goals, while plan is just really, really, really niche focus and concrete in its ways. So I hope that kind of clarifies the differences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
like the approach.
yeah, because
Try
it's
to
very good to really
Yeah,
differentiate.
because most of
And
the time when people are talking about strategy, they talk about plans, they talk about goals. And strategy is a lot more than that. For somebody who did strategy execution as a diploma with Harvard, one of the things I learned was that strategy is not a plan, it's not a goal.
yeah.
For strategy, you are looking at like 4 or 5 plans together to
Mm,
achieve a purpose.
yeah.
It's more about it's more bird view, and then it's more dynamic because you're not just having a plan, you have like 4 plans we intertwined together, and you have
Exactly.
achievable milestones to direct you in the path of where you want to reach. I like that approach because most people say they have a career. Most of the time, it's always a career plan. They just
Yeah.
want, yeah, I'll go and I will do this exam, I will do this and that, and then I will do this. But what happens if that company you were hoping to get an internship with says no? Or somehow the exam did not take new people for the year or
Mm.
something. What happens? What is going to be the next plan of action? I like that approach. Thank you so much.
Oh, no
You know.
worries. Yeah. So, as we go on, if you have questions, you can just interject me and we can discuss it.
Yes, I'm already doing that so that it's going to be more
Yeah.
interesting as we go. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is just how I want to just explain how to think in terms of strategy as opposed to plan, and can be applicable to anything in life, not just career change. It's just a very generic. Obviously, you can tailor it to whatever situation that you're in. First of all, you have a goal, you have a reason why you actually intend to plan, do this strategy. Then the next step is to analyze the environment. Where are you right now, and where do you want to be? You really, really need to understand this environment, and like you just mentioned, Mrs. Joy, a lot of people just believe that in terms of career change, I've seen a lot of people transition just because they just feel that that's the next in thing. They haven't really, really defined or even looked inward at the environment that they are in, what their situation is, what kind of skills they have. They don't even have a clue of the kind of industry that they're trying to transition into. They're literally just going with the wind, going with what everybody's doing, what works for person A. And it's a very, very wrong approach, because you have to take, if you want to make a transition in life, you take maybe a few weeks or a few months to sit down and think about some of these things. Why am I even making these decisions in the first place? So these are just 5 very broad steps to follow if you in developing a strategy. Once you've analyzed the environment, you identify key actions. What are some of the actions that I would need to take? What are some of the like, for example, financial planning. Now you need to actually plan, think about, oh, how do I make money for this sort of transition? What are some of the training or skills that I would need to actually undergo? Then you allocate resources as well. This is where strategy comes in. It helps you to really identify the most important part of your strategic plan, and then you can monitor and adjust as time goes on. It's because it's a very flexible approach. It gives you that, leverage to, kind of shift things about if it's not going in the direction in which you intended it to go. So a strategic career change, and I'm not going to really sugarcoat it, it can be very, very nerve-wracking and stressful and daunting. I understand that, but however, it can also open up the door for exciting new opportunities. That's if it is done, in the right manner. And the key is usually to treat it as a project, not as something that has to be done right away, instantly. A lot of people just want to quickly move. I want to be a business analyst today, tomorrow. Let me just enter. No, that's not how it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to treat it as a project, because if for some of us in project management now, we know that before any project starts, you develop something called a project charter, which is a strategic plan. And that project charter, it covers a whole lot of ground. It tells you why we are doing this project, what kind of resources we would need, the kind of risk we anticipate will happen. They perform this sort of Monte Carlo analysis. They think about a lot of eventualities. Okay, what happens if the economy goes down? What happens? This is a strategic, a high level. It's not detailed, but it's a high level plan, because once you have done that project charter, you can start to break it down into a project management plan. So that's the key. That's what we want to do in a strategic career change. We don't want to treat it as something that has to be happen. No. We have to treat it as a project. And a project has timelines. They define, okay, between now and the next 2 years, we must have completed this project. So you should have that kind of timeline. Don't think that some people will even quit their jobs. Can you imagine?
Yes. I mean, you're still learning. Maybe there are sometimes you can do that. Maybe when you still have a lot of support system,
Yeah.
and maybe you're still staying in your family, your parents' house, and you're still very young. But when you're an adult, or maybe a young adult, or a senior adult, or something, and you're responsible for yourself, or maybe for even dependents, probably you're married or you have children, then you really need to think about it through.
Mm.
And like you said, you have to treat it like a project. Don't just make a rash decision. I see some people ask me, should I quit my job? I'm trying to be a project manager, but right now I'm doing an operations job. I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I want to learn and all of that. I'm like, see, this is the time for you to burn the midnight candles. This is
Mm.
the time for you to spend, instead of you quitting your job to go and learn, how are you going to feed yourself?
Yeah.
This is time for you to spend extra 4 hours every day reading, and then go back to your job in the morning, and then
Mm.
spend another 4 hours every night doing your project, going to classes, and doing all of that. You just have to think about the old intricacy, just in case you go 66 months into it and you realize that, oh, it's not even actually what I want to do.
Mm.
Because it was when I was doing it, I realized that actually what I wanted to do was this. You will be able to readjust, and that's what we call a strategy. You will not be
Mm.
back to base. You will not be back to square one. You would actually be able to just navigate and go ahead. That's very spot on. I'm sorry I said that, because I've seen it's actually its home. Like, it happens to people that I know, and
Yeah.
even some people that work with me. Like, I had a junior colleague, who wanted to go into project management, and I really celebrate that, because I like people
Mm.
who knows what they want to do. I mean, because it even gives you a direction of your learning. It gives a direction of your investment, because
Yeah.
you're an investment. You're going to spend money on trainings. You're going to spend money on knowledge. You're going to spend money on transitioning. Transitioning is costly. I think in one of the things we have to let people know, it's costly. You might have to do a master's. You might have to invest thousands and thousands of dollars sometimes. So and what happened was that it just quit his job. And I have and believe that there must be solid reasons, but
Yeah.
in my own opinion, I would have felt like you should be learning, do your
Mm.
job, and in your job, find a way to apply what you are learning.
Mm.
So that way, the learning will even, it would actually, you will retain the learning. Because the truth is that if you're learning a lot of things and you're not applying them immediately, you would lose more than 70% of them.
Yeah, true.
All that for facts. So, but if you're learning something, you have a different job, but in the company you are, you can a little bit, even if it's just an extra addition or something, they might not necessarily pay you for it, but you are beginning to apply what you're learning. You're asking for rooms of, okay, I've started learning this, I've learned that. Can I join, in this project that you guys are about to do and take up these challenges? And then you're going to be able to retain the learning and move on to you become an expert in that space. But
Yeah.
some people, maybe because young people, there's no demand. You can see call your brother and say, please send me your jet 2K or something. Maybe
Honestly,
you
like,
can make that kind of
and I
decision.
think, the kind of culture that we come from now is we're very family oriented. So, you have
Yeah,
people that would rally around you. And because
yeah.
here in the West, like once you're a certain age, you are literally like thrown out of the house. You're on your own. So obviously you're forced to navigate your way out. Yeah, but absolutely, absolutely. Honestly, I've seen, like, obviously I know you are a HR, you deal with these things every day, but these are the kind of mindset that people have about career change. Once they feel like, oh, my friend is doing this, it's really making it, the next thing is, oh, how do I get there? Even if it means me quitting my job, it shouldn't be. You should give yourself that room to develop yourself, because sometimes you might be transitioning into a space that you know nothing about. So what if, like you mentioned, what if you wake up 2 months and say, oh, wow, I actually don't want to do this anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, we're emphasizing the need for a strategic approach in this. So, yeah. So the next step is my 3-step process of building a strategic plan. Every strategic plan must go through these 3-step, should address this 3-step process. And the first step is the assessment, second is research, and the third is the development phase. Obviously, each phase seems to answer a sort of question. In the assessment phase, we are answering the question, what do I want? In the research phase, we're answering where is it? And in the development stage, we're answering what do I need? So this, I will break it down in the next couple of slides, but just an overview of what to expect when you're building a strategic plan. So the assessment stage is all about, assessing yourself and asking yourself, are you even ready to transition? Why do I need to do this? The first thing is to evaluate your current situation. Look at yourself. Where are you now? Why do I want to make this change? Ask yourself, if you're someone that is already working, what is my current compensation like? Do I have job satisfaction? Do I have the right work-life balance? Some of those reasons that we addressed early on. Ask yourself this question. If most of these answers tends towards negative, then it may be time to consider a career change. But if it's just the case of every other thing is fine, it's just the compensation, maybe you feel like they're not paying you enough, could you maybe just look at applying for another job in another country and company where you're still doing the same kind of thing, but you're applying for a higher paying role in another company? Maybe it could just be that, and you don't necessarily need a whole career change. You just need an increase, or maybe approaching your manager, for example, and say, oh, I don't feel I'm being compensated enough. This is the market value. And, just address that. Not everything is all about the dramatic career change, but for some people, it's very essential because they don't have that satisfaction already. So the next step is for you to actually define your core values and your area of interest. Because at the end of the day, one of the reasons why people change career is because they don't have job satisfaction. The job does not align with their values, right? Or they just want to, do something meaningful. So if you transition to another career that does not really align with your values, then you will end up in this cycle, in this loop of always, looking for a new career to transition. So it's always nice to really, really align your goals and your values with what you do. And that is essentially what strengthens you, for longevity and, becoming satisfied with your job. Say, for example, you're someone who is really, really oriented and focused on patient care. Obviously, the kind of roles you'll be considering, maybe medicine, nursing, something that has to do with clinical health or public health and things like that. I wouldn't expect you to start looking for a career in maybe law or something, like something that is way off course. Because at the end of the day, you can have it. People always say, "Oh, it's not just about making money." It isn't just about making money, and that's where people get it wrong. If you treat your career as just a money-making scheme, you get frustrated and bored. You just feel like you're not accomplishing a lot. You always have this sense of, I haven't done much in life. Do you get what I mean? So it's always like, how much nicer would it be to actually align your values, with making money, if you understand what I mean. So
Yeah.
for someone like me now, for someone like me now, when I wanted to transition to a data scientist, obviously I have a background in energy. My passion was truly energy. Like I wanted to be in the energy industry, and that's why when I was doing the control systems job, I wasn't very satisfied. I just felt like something is missing and I couldn't really pinpoint. And I was like, okay, fine. I actually want to be a data scientist, but I will still make sure it's within that energy industry space, right? And that was what I went for because you can actually have satisfaction and make money from it.
Mm.
So did you want to say something before I call you?
Oh, yes, yes. Because I know that if you don't enjoy what you do, you cannot really, really make the best money out of it.
Yeah.
It is very it's direct, it's very correlative.
Mm.
Because I've seen that the people that make the best of a job or a career or a space and make it even look attractive to you because they actually enjoy doing that thing and they
Yeah.
have enjoyed it so much to invest value into it to give enough value back.
Hmm.
You see, the best, if the reason, maybe the reason why you wanted to be an HR person was because you saw some top HR people who were earning well. But what you don't know is that these top HR people, even if they do not pay them, they will still be doing that job because
Yeah.
they actually love it. And because they love it, they invest themselves into it, they think it, they rephrase it, they innovate around it, such more that they attract value that is now attractive to you and makes the profession attractive.
Hmm.
You might actually do it because you feel like it's lucrative and you might not enjoy it as much and you might not get as much value from it.
Yeah.
So it's very correlative when you say, oh, I want to do this because of money. The truth is that people, the world is so diverse these days. I see YouTubers, I see content creators, I see people that make movies. And when you see the defining line of success, it's not really about the role they picked. It's about how good they are in what they do. And it's because they actually love what they do
Yeah.
that makes them invest so much. So finding that thing that you love to do is very much directly um uh, proportional to being successful.
Yeah.
I,
I
yeah,
completely agree with that, honestly. And that's really
very,
spot on, because you don't want to be waking up every day to a job that you're just miserable in and it's
yeah.
unadvisable. So yeah, so once
People
you've,
feel your energy.
of
People
course,
feel
yeah, you won't
energy.
even perform well at the
You
job
will perform
eventually.
well. That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah. Okay, so once you've done this, you've decided that, oh, I'm definitely needing a career change. The next step is for you to identify your strengths and transferable skills, what you can carry on. Because the truth is that a lot of times we always feel like, oh, wow, this job is a very new field. I don't have anything, but you really do, you have the survey that was conducted, shows that about 67% of people who transition to a different industry following COVID, they believe that they already even had the skill. You may not have everything, but you definitely have something. So you really want to identify that which you have. And the outcome of this assessment phase in your strategic approach is the fact that you begin to understand what kind of industry that your
Mm.
values are aligned with. And that's why it's very important to go this route. If you were making a plan now to just transition, you won't even contemplate this. You won't have gone through these steps to look inward, to actually ask yourself these questions. You won't even be sure if that industry you're going into actually aligns with your value. But by going through the assessment phase, you see that, oh, okay, actually, I think I would enjoy the IT industry. I would enjoy the medical industry. So you're now setting and sure that this is what I want to do. So once you do that, the next phase is the research phase. You have to reset the landscape. You have to reset the environment because remember, for someone who is transitioning to a whole new field, you know nothing about it. You don't want to just start applying for jobs or start taking certifications. That's not the next thing to do. The next thing to do is to understand what kind of trends this industry faces. What are the changes, that you see then? Look at the media, look at, research, look at history, look at the news. And by doing this, you would also begin to understand the areas that you can fit in within that industry. You will begin to see the needs that industry, poses. And then you can say, oh, within this industry, I can actually do this. And then you begin to research what kind of companies, are actually aligned with the industry. You begin to build your database of potential companies that you can work with, because you're in this research phase. And you can even go a step further of going to LinkedIn to connecting with people even within that space in a professional network. And mind you, you're not connecting with them to ask for a job at this stage. You're just connecting with them to sort of understand more. People like recruiters, companies, and other professionals say, you can say, I saw that your LinkedIn profile really aligns well with my values. Do you mind? Let's schedule a 30 minutes coffee chat, virtual coffee chat. And as the world has made it, the virtual meetings are now a thing. So you can do that and then ask questions. It also reinforces your decision to transition into the industry. It gives you kind of like behind the scenes insight on, would I like this role? It's very important. You can also, do some informal interviews. I've done some before, not necessarily for a job, someone just sits across you and just kind of ask you questions just to prepare you and to see, if you're actually going to feel at home in that kind of role and things like that. So this is especially what you want in the research phase. And the outcome of this is the fact that you now understand shortage areas within your potential industry. You are able to identify gaps in your skills. You see where you are and what exactly you need to learn to get to where you want to be. You have an overview of potential company. You can now properly define your long-term as well as your short-term goals and build useful contact, because remember, you started building your professional network, not to apply for a job, but that would come in useful later. So this is very important, as opposed to just, building a concrete plan that can shift the next day and you won't even know what to do, will throw you off guard. So
and all by yourself.
yeah, exactly. So yeah. So once you've done the research, then you can now integrate everything you've learned into like a high level strategic plan, because you're now armed with a lot of information. You've looked inwards, you've researched the industry, you've started building your professional contact. You literally are well positioned now to make that change, to start working towards that, and to start breaking down things down into manageable steps and plan. Now that you now understand the gaps that you have in your skills, you understand what you have and what you don't have, you can start to consider, what kind of skills do I need? What kind of trainings would I, need to close this gap? How will I demonstrate experience? This is very important, because if you're transitioning to a new space, you don't have experience. How do I, and with the way recruitment is done, is that they want to see like 20 years experience, even though you are just coming out.
Don't mind us.
Yeah.
But I've been in that space, and a lot of people, one of the most not very fancy place to be in employment is HR, because everybody's dragging you, everybody's looking.
I see the way they drag HR on LinkedIn.
There's so much. In fact, it's almost like, guys, come down. I'm also an employee like you,
Yeah.
and everybody's
It comes
looking
with
at
the job.
your friend, will not be your friend. It's just a very interesting place. And one of the things they drag HR about most is this 20 years of experience thing. And I really don't have anything to say, because
Yeah.
most of the time it's not just the HR that comes up with those things. What people don't understand is that sometimes is the boss's boss. Like,
Of
see, who
course.
you're going to
It
get most
cascades
able to
down.
deliver. And when you are talking about somebody that is able to deliver, that the person has to have experience. Experience is more important, in that field. That's by the way. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
so yeah, but I do appreciate some of the struggles that potential candidates face in terms of, well, how do I demonstrate this experience? And some of the things that you can consider is maybe coming up with projects, outside of, when you don't have to wait to get a job. As you're learning new skills and trying to close gaps, you can, and a lot of people have been doing this. You see that I did it for one, when I was transitioning to data, I didn't have any experience, but because I developed projects on my GitHub, they would ask how many years of experience do you have? Oh, I have just maybe a few months. However, these are some of the projects that I've done. And then they can put like a visual, they can see it and say, oh, wow, okay, you did this, and have more confidence in you. Another thing you can consider is being a volunteer, maybe at certain companies, maybe without being paid. A lot of people love freebies these days. So if you do that, you're essentially building your experience, that you can leverage on during interviews, or even freelancing. You can consider freelance. There are a lot of websites that you can, freelance, get freelance work, and even get paid for it. You're also building experience. So these are some of the ways that you can demonstrate the sort of experience that you have as you transition. So these are the things that you consider in your strategic plan. Then you also consider your resume and cover letters. How are you going to refine your credentials, your new skills? Are you going to consider using generative AI, like ChatGPT, which is very important these days? Because a lot of people are like, oh, wow, generative AI. The truth is that the world has really advanced, and more of these sort of things will come out. So how do you leverage this in the proper way, in an ethical manner, to help you in terms of your application? Can you use generative AI to kind of narrow down your CV as well, and tailor it to a particular job description? You're going to ask yourself this question. You don't have to, but if you want to, you should already be thinking about that. You also be thinking about your networking. Remember those contacts that you got from the research phase? How can you leverage them for a job referral? Because when you're applying for a job, it's easier to get a job when you're being referred, rather than, going from scratch. How do you
Especially at the
leverage?
entry stage.
Sorry?
But especially at the entry stage, even at the
Especially,
senior stage, but more pertinent at the entry stage, because at that time, nobody really knows what you can do, and you don't have any paper to show it apart from maybe learnings.
yeah.
And so sitting across a recruiter, they are bothered about, okay, so how do we know you can do the job? Don't just
Mm.
tell us this and that. But if you're coming from a top person in that space, saying, oh, this person is like a mentee. I've been putting them through on how to do it. It just gives you like like a go ahead kind of
Yeah.
backup. So that network is very important as well. It really speed up your journey if you
Yeah, and that's why it's important to do the groundwork in the research phase. You don't want to just go in blindly, because now you don't even have anybody. You can't even speak to some people, cannot even refer. You don't know who and who is in this environment and space. So these are some of the things that you begin to think about in your high level plan. Then you also think about interview. When is the best time to prepare? And the best time to prepare for interview is always when you don't have one. I always feel when you don't have one is best, because the truth is that when they start coming, they come in really quickly, and it doesn't give you enough time to prepare. So once you're already armed, it's easier for you to really ace an interview. So these are some of the things that you have to put together in your strategic plan. Some other things to consider: building a strong reference list. Oh my God, I can't really emphasize enough for that, because I don't know if they do that in Nigeria, where they call your referees to ask about you. I'm sure they do anyway. But imagine if you have like very strong people in that same industry space as you, and they're able to stand in for you and say good things about you. And so that is why you need to consider this at the early on, before you even start jumping into, have about maybe 3 or 4 people that you can put as a referee, and that can actually attest to your skills and things like that. Then the last thing I'm talking is financial. Oh my God, this is so important. Like we mentioned before, how people just quit jobs in the name of, I want to transition. But the truth is that you need you need to meet your financial obligations. You need money for some of these trainings and certifications. So how are you going to do that? You could just remain in your job. For some people, they don't even have jobs to even remain in. They're just, looking for So for this kind of people, I would suggest maybe consider bridge job. A bridge job is kind of like maybe not essentially the kind of job that you would normally do. Say, for example, now you can consider working in McDonald's or KFC just to make money, not necessarily to for a long term, just because you need some sort of financial income to address some of the obligations that you would like some of the certifications, and obviously it's going to be time bound, and where you can consider those kind of jobs. It's not the end of the world. Don't think that your career has ended. No, the good thing about the strategic plan is that you're giving yourself a timeline, you're giving yourself, a time frame in which you must have met all these things. You're not, pushing yourself into that instantaneous box. So working and making money while you're going through these steps is always very essential, I would say. And finally, because I know our time is fast spent, finally, we've come to the end. I just want to encourage you to be brave. Don't let minor setback discourage you. It's a very uncomfortable season. It's not a season where you're comfortable essentially, but you need to remain consistent. My pastor usually says in consistency lies great result. I really love that statement so much. When you're consistent, about things, you find success is guaranteed essentially. When you put in the right amount of effort at the right time, you're sure that success is guaranteed. Don't rush the process. Don't rush it. That's why we need to treat it as a project. Don't see it as something that I'm going to blow the next day. No, it's a journey, and embrace the journey, embrace the challenges, because it's making you stronger and it's arming you with more information. Think about the number of professional contact. Like LinkedIn is always a very good resource to build professional contact. I've gotten a lot of offers from LinkedIn just by building professional contacts. Leverage those contacts, enjoy meeting new people in that space. And at the right time, it will definitely bloom. So thank you for listening. I hope that was helpful. And
it was really, really fun. As in, I'm just amazed at how much you covered. You actually did cover a wide range of thoughts in that session. Talking about the kind of experience you get, how it should be more of quality than quantity. I always believe you could shrink your journey, you could fast pace your journey by strategically attaching yourself to some kind of experience that will give you the volume of skill that you need to acquire over 10 years in like maybe 2 or 3 years. I know that there are some things you can't cut out, but there's some learning you can fast pace. And we're in a world where information is really, really decentralized. You can, in fact, the way the franchise, the way the information is everywhere, if you're really good at research, you would help yourself to get a lot of information that can help you in your career transition. And another thing that I like to emphasize on our talk is the network. If there was anything you mentioned today that I personally would take is that network. And why I say that is because people would you need the information you need is with people. The funds you need is with people. Do you know that? The miracle you're praying for is with people. The project you need is with people. And it's amazing how like this is a popular saying that the answer you need is like maybe 2 or 3 people away. Sometimes it's someone that you know that knows that you do this. So when your career transition, you have to be very visible. You have to be visible. You have to communicate. Don't expect like somebody's going to read your mind or that somebody's always going to assume. Put yourself in front of the right people's faces. Like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what communicate. Even if it means with your boss. For example, you want to do this, you're currently doing this. You should have a sit down with your boss or your HR and tell them, this is my career interest. This is what I'm trying to achieve, because you don't know. They might actually have, the right information for you or the right pointer for you. So communicate. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sorry. And I just want to encourage people who are listening that don't be scared of approaching people on LinkedIn and just introducing yourself. Like, to be honest, I used to be that person that I couldn't even send anybody a message like, what do this person think about me? Because you'll be surprised at how people want to just talk about themselves and their careers. They're really, really like, once you hype someone, say, oh, wow, I really, really enjoy looking at your achievement, and I feel like we're in the same career space. Do you have maybe 15 to 30 minutes for a virtual coffee chat? Most of the time, people would love that. Like, they would answer, say yes, let's
People,
schedule.
some people just even need that because maybe you're in the nick of work and you're walking away, and
Yeah,
then you just see somebody send you a message that they would like to have a coffee chat with you, and you go through their profile, they look like serious people.
yeah,
Okay, sorry, we'll get to meet. Maybe when I'm
yeah,
going home in the evening, I'll just call you because we're
exactly.
social beings. We like that, and as long as you're serious as well, don't take this chat for granted. Then don't be rude. I know that it's not about, I mean, there's a way you can write your message to someone that it's
Yeah,
appealing for them to respond to
appealing,
you.
yeah, that they won't
And the
even
way
say no.
you can write, yeah, and the way you can write to someone you don't know and they would not even respond.
Yeah.
Um, for some, I've had a lot of people. Sometimes I have people just because they're looking for jobs, they're just in my DM and they just go about writing or they like a summary of their CV. I'm like, it's okay, it's good. At least I know what you do. But I see some people, the way they come in, the way they, talk about what you've done, how it aligns with what they do, and how they are doing this now, and how they will
Mm,
be glad to do this or do that, even if it's your network or anything. But they know that you can know somebody that can know someone that is doing what they're doing, and all of that. And you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is very, very intelligent.
mm,
This is very, very intelligent approach to it. Thank you so much, okay, for this chat. I think
mm,
we covered a lot, and thank God it's recorded. It's right here on YouTube.
mm.
You can
And I can
listen.
also share my slides if you want to disseminate. I mean, that's
Yes,
something I can
yes, I
do.
would really appreciate that. I will send it with the link to some of our registered mentees.
Yeah.
So please, I really want to say thank you for being here.
My
Um,
pleasure.
I had a great time chatting with you. Very intelligent views and approaches to this conversation. Um, like you said, be bold. Don't reject. Whatever you need to do is just one life. Take the bull by the horn.
Mm,
One thing is that what we said today is even applicable for senior career people who want to transition into owning their own business. I remember I was sitting with someone who had worked for like 14 years with Chevron,
mm.
Chevron Oil, and she has a very solid fashion idea in her mind, and she's been nursing it for like half a decade.
Wow.
And the reason why she had not pulled out to do anything is because she's really bothered about the finances. What if the business doesn't work? And because she had actually tried to do a business before that failed. So she's really, really bothered.
And
And
that's
then
why the strategic approach is very important. Mm,
yeah, and then she's what will I say? She's already used to a quality of life. She doesn't know he should be able to cope with not having some level of income come in.
yeah.
So there's a lot of questions. She's just being very real with me and telling me how she doesn't know she's ever going to start that company. I was like, well, if you don't start it, you would never know.
Yeah.
It
True.
will remain in the uncertain region. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to plan. um if you want to start the business, cut out your expenses now. Start to
Mm,
save heavily.
yeah.
And because you're not sure it's going to be a success, which I think you should not approach a business in that with that mindset. But anyways, don't borrow money to start it because you're not really sure. So save up, stockpile, start to reduce your living expenses, invest
Mm,
in some 2 or 3 other streams of income that can bring you
yeah.
some other living amounts. Like if you know your life every month you actually have maybe like a 400,000 or a 600,000 living expense, like living expense, things you cannot do without for your car,
Mm-hmm.
heat, pay your service charges and all of those things. You should think about, okay, how can I make this 600K aside from my job? What are the things I can invest in now to bring in this money that can bring in this
Yeah.
money aside from my job? And then you can invest in those things now while you are stockpiling savings to start this business. And then you can start small. A lot of people understand that you can start small, but understand that there's some business you can't really start small. If you're going in, you have to go in with the
Going
whole of your
big.
mind. You have to go in big. You have to go in big to really make the result. But still, just start.
Yeah.
Like Nike's slogan, just do it.
Just
Don't
do
think about
it.
it so much. Just wake up and do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying it to myself too, in a way.
Yeah, honestly, and with the example that you just given about your friend, I feel like she might be getting a bit her mind might be getting a bit cluttered with the fine
Yeah,
details of everything. And that's
yeah.
why I always emphasize the need for a strategy. Like, don't
Mm,
think about the fine details yet. Think about the high level overview, like we've just discussed, because when you can put everything down, when I was about to start Beauty Fit, and obviously, about Beauty Fit, it
yeah,
felt like a lot, but I decided to create a high level because it's a business that myself and my sister we decided to create a high level plan. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the vision. That's some of the risks that we anticipate. These are some of the ways that we're going to raise funding. We think about all the possibilities that could happen first and put it down in like a document. Then with that strategic plan, you can start to break things down into more manageable plans. So if you start thinking about how, wow, I'm starting a business, wow, how will I do this? You will never start because you believe that it's not possible, whereas it is possible because when you create the strategic plan, things just becomes easier and
yeah.
moves smoothly from there on. So yeah, always
Thank you so
emphasize that.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much, Yope, for being on the call. We already exceeded our time and it's time
Yes.
to draw the curtain. Well, guys, you can follow Ope Oludara on LinkedIn. I'll share with you some of our socials in case you want to carry on this conversation. But this is NextGen Africa. In fact, NextGen Africa for me too is a baby project. It
Mm,
was born out of the need to help people.
yeah.
And of course, so far so good. We've done this for free, and it's not like it's not expensive. It costs some money to have the platform running and all of those
Imagine.
things. But looking at the long-term plan, which is like a
Mm,
way of giving back to society and addressing some people's personal needs in their career. I've seen that I have success stories in people. My success story is in people. I've seen people who have moved and transitioned and made a change and grown, and they've been there also giving back. So if you want to give back as well, please reach out to me. I spent some money. So yeah, and subscribe to this channel. Help me share this channel.
yeah.
Share with someone, put it on your page, put it on your status, let people subscribe. There are very interesting topics we talk about here. I see sometimes when I look on social media and I see people listening to jargons like you subscribe to all these channels that they talk about boyfriend, friends, and
You get
smoke
value.
and weed and what's all of these podcasts now about. There's even one that I saw yesterday about BBL, and somebody came and spent 2 hours talking about BBL. I'm like, these people, is that what you want to do? Please, these are the kind of content you should help me push her.
Good.
Let's share it with young people so that they can actually start thinking, the way they want to do and move on with their life towards
And can
success.
I just say how brilliant this project is? It's absolutely,
Thank you
honestly, like
so
these are some of the things that we
much.
need in Africa, in
Yeah,
Nigeria. We need to really, really reshape the minds of people to see that,
yeah,
your branding is very important. Your professional identity is as important as some of the things that
as
you spend your time on, so it's even more important than those. And so just to say a big thank you for starting this platform. I know it's going to, in a couple of years down, or even a few months down the line, it will be unrecognizable. It will be a lot bigger
Amen.
than
Amen. I'm
this.
looking
So,
forward to that.
yeah, good
I'm looking forward
job.
to that. Thank you so much. Thank you really, really
Oh,
much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for
thank
pulling
you.
out the whole 60 minutes to do this. I'm really grateful, and I know you put in
Oh, my
the plan to do
pleasure.
it. God bless you. See you next time. I'm still going to have you again on
Okay.
this. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so like this is NextGen Africa. We meet monthly as at this year, 2024. It's a monthly meeting where we talk about things that really concerns you, things that you really need to know. Sometimes it's just to revalidate the things that you know and to encourage you to move ahead, to being the best of yourself, being your best self. There are some challenges you might be facing now. It's not particular to just you. Um, um, Everyone, as we go in life, we face some challenges. We have decisions, we have goals, we have aspirations, and those things are achievable. And here we hope to give you hear from people who has gone through things or who are really in the phase that you are, and see that you're not alone on your journey. At the same time, glean out practical information, practical knowledge that you could apply to your own career success. My desire is that you become a better person while you listen to this podcast. You become a better person. You become your better self. You take that decision. You're encouraged, and you can always reach out. You can always reach out, send a message. My social media links are very much available. Just type, you put John Day on Google, you will see me on LinkedIn, you will see me on Instagram, you will see me. And I'm not very active on Twitter, but you see me on those two channels where I'm active, and you can always send me a direct message. For people that have reached out to me personally, you see that we've always had a success story by the grace of God, and we hope to keep achieving that. Even if you're a business person, there is something for you as well, because your excellence as a person it's interpret into everything you do, other career or business. And we're looking forward to an Africa that is excellent, an Africa that is globally competent. And that is one of the reasons, that's the vision for this Next Gen Africa, for the next generation of African talents. All right, thank you so much. See you next month, and have a beautiful weekend. Bye.